Hi everyone, it's me, Katie Beth again. And last month I did a video where I tried out a tumbler cup turner and it didn't quite go as planned. But I was talking to Jeff Kahn, one of my internet friends, in the description or comments in that video, and one of the things we thought of is, will it work better instead of using my fingers to smooth out the epoxy resin if I just have a squeegee that can do it all at once with the same level to get a better consistency. So that's what we're trying out today. It did end up being a lot larger squeegee than I thought it would be. I think it's like 8 inches and my cup is a lot smaller. This has to be bigger than 8 inches. This is like 11 inches. I apparently cannot measure, but it should still fit the idea. All right, let's go try this out. So first of all, I wanted to try out the experiment with if I put blue masking tape on the inside, if it'll help from getting epoxy on the inside. The tape wouldn't all stick, but I'm still gonna try it out. So I turn on the spinner, get my epoxy ready, and I just pour it on. And because I'm using the squeegee, I really should have had the squeegee out first because this is just not working that well. So I got the squeegee now, and I'm trying to even out the epoxy, but I poured it on so wonky, it's a little difficult to get it fully covered since I did a real wonky first pour. Now I'm going to speed this video up so it's a little quicker to watch. So now I'm just trying to even it out. And I decided to try and recycle some of this epoxy that just fell to the floor rather than just making a whole nother batch. And it seems to be working pretty well. I did get the cup a little crooked on the spinner, so that's a tiny issue it seems. But other than that, this is spreading way nicer than if I just used my hands. Look how nice it's looking! So I decided that, I'd go with another coat, make another batch. So I'm pouring the second batch on. So editor's note, if you watch the top of the squeegee, I do end up hitting the machine, which makes an angle, and the squeegee not quite squeegee as well. Because it's so long, I keep hitting the top of it and not really realizing it. So I moved it down to try and get the top squeegeed a little better. Now I'm going to move it to a better location. So the one layer that I did dried, and I am completely pleased with the work of the squeegee. Some stuff did get stuck to it. I did put a fan blowing out the window directly on it, so I did get like a little bit of fuzzies from my room just floating around, dust. But, let's see, it might actually be a small enough layer I could pull it out. Woo! All right, got that dust flake out. So I only have one layer on it. It's pretty thin, and I actually really like it because versus a normal metal that I touch it and it's just like fingerprints, it's kind of doing it because I have lotion on my hands, but actually not too bad, like way better than if it was just regular metal. And it's such a thin layer that like you really can't even tell it has the gloss on it other than it's not as fingerprinty. I really like the work of the squeegee. Look how like nice this is compared to blub blub blub. Like when I used my fingers, it was just like blub 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 blub. I do have one spot on here where you can kind of see I stopped squeegeeing and it left a thicker layer there. But overall, not too bad. The bottom does have a ring of a thicker layer though. I think I had let it pool because I wanted to make sure the bottom got coated, which it did really well. But also, I unplugged the spinning machine to move it to another location that was better aired out. And while I did, it was also pulling towards the bottom and just like dripping off. So I had to like move it with stuff underneath because it was just dripping off. So I'm going to try one more layer to kind of even some of this out, maybe add more to everything else other than this, but do it in its final spinning spot so I don't have the issue of it just dripping when I move it and pulling to one spot. Also, the tape that I have, it was hitting the tape, like when it was going around. I've already pushed some of the tape in, but sometimes it would be going around and then the tape would just get caught on it and it would move it. Another issue with the squeegee is that because it was so long, I kept hitting the top of the machine, which would lift up the bottom of the machine, which is also probably why it's a little more pulled on the bottom. So I'm going to try it one more time, adding another layer to see if I can even out some of these problems that I had. I do feel like the tape is helping because it's like epoxied on right here. I think I'll be able to just rip that off and avoid the inside scrubble. I'm making up words here. But to avoid this more, I think the tape actually is helping. So here we go, putting on our final layer. Let's do it. Okay, so I'm on to layer 2 on this cup, and I've got some mixed reviews from myself. First off, I do feel like it does a lot better job of than my fingers trying to swipe everything off and more evenly, except for it's just got this giant contusion bump. I'm not really sure what that's called. This giant thing all the way around from it going to the end and just kept spinning around the end and I'm out of breath. I don't know why I'm so excited. So it did pretty well smooth everything out the second time, but it just added more to the bump the second time. Also, I noticed for some reason it has this tumor on the side here on the bottom. So I guess I got a clump on there and it just dried. It just kept spinning and didn't evenly coat. So I am going to have to sand that off. Otherwise it's not going to, well, on my hand. Let me find a flat surface. It looks even, but it's not. It's like unsteady. You can kind of see it because it doesn't have a solid grounding because it has this lump here. I don't know if you can see it maybe this way. But it is crooked because of the lump on the bottom. It's like making it lean more. So it's not super stable. I am going to have to sand that off. But is that the fault of this or just me doing stuff? One of the things I also noticed is because it's so big, I kept getting it stuck onto the machine so it would be at a weird angle. Or it's stuck on this bump, so see, if I squeeze it this way, the bump still doesn't allow it to go flat, which I can see in some spots. It's a little awkward because the bump was not allowing it to squeegee flat. So that's something new that I've gotten with using the squeegee, but it's my first time using the squeegee, so I think I will get better at that. Overall, I think the squeegee did help, although it would help more if I had gotten a smaller squeegee, just because there's too much of it. Wonder if I could cut it off and just use this. I might try that, cutting it kind of in half, just a little over. So that's an idea. So it's not so much extra. I did measure it, and it's 12 inches long, and I really only needed it to be about 7 inches. I think I searched for 8-inch squeegee and this popped up and I just bought it without actually reading the description. Oh, let's check this tape. What happens when I take this tape off? Well, it looks like it did help in some spots. Like here, it looks amazing. But in other spots, not so much. It appears that I just have it now, blue tape hardened onto here. So I'm going to have to try and pick that off. So the blue tape was an idea, but not entirely a success. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is that have alcohol or alcohol wipes to clean this. It looks like this time around I didn't get it all the way off, but that's the best way I've found to clean off the epoxy. So it doesn't just harden on and then you just have like a hard, weird misshapen thing. So alcohol helps to clean it off a lot. Also, don't put it down your sink. You don't want hardened pipes. I used alcohol wipes and just kept throwing them away. Well, today was an experiment using the Squeegee to tumble dry epoxy cups. Not entirely a success and not entirely a failure. I'd actually say more on the success part. I think this blob on the bottom is more just me not realizing what I was doing, but I think that can easily be fixed on the next round. So thanks for joining me, everyone, for this experiment. I thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. And if not, please feel free to hit that subscription button down below. It would really help out. Again, thanks for being here, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.